one of the greatest rivalries in all of college football, and this year's edition is one of the most anticipated matchups in the series in its 125-year history. It's the Army and Navy game. It's America's game, and you better be watching. So welcome back to the Gridiron Expert, ready to break down Army and Navy, taking place in Maryland, the 125th meeting between the Midshipmen and the Black Knights. As always, thank you so much for watching us here at our channel. Please continue to like, comment, subscribe, share our video, and of course, check out everything down in the description below. That includes our website, thegridironexpert.com, home of those expert picks and our new holiday special. Sign up for those today. You'll get every single bowl game spread pick, every NFL playoff game spread pick, and the final 4 weeks of the NFL regular season. All those spread picks over on thegridironexpert.com. Got multiple packages for you to choose from, but none better than that holiday special for this time of year. Again, the link for that down in the description below. So let's jump into this. I always, if you've watched us here at the channel, we predict the Army-Navy game every year. Not everybody does that. Everybody kind of puts it on the back burner. It's in December. We're getting ready for bowl season. There's actually a bowl game on this Saturday, so the Army-Navy game not getting as much attention as maybe it should, but this game is always one of the best of the year in my opinion. Maybe not in terms of the final score, the style of play, and things like that, but from a tradition standpoint, from a pageantry standpoint, from a heart standpoint, this game is truly unlike any other we see in college football. It's always worth the watch. Army and Navy, a little bit of history. They have met uninterrupted. They've met every year since 1930. Navy owning a 62-55-7 edge. You know, for years, Navy dominating Army in this series. But as of late, Army waking up. And, you know, the Black Knights have won the last two meetings. They played very, very well over about the last, say, decade or so. They've kind of woken up and played a lot better in this rivalry game. But I should say each of the last three games between Army and Navy have been decided by one possession. So last couple have been very close games. I expect we could see another close game this Saturday because the reason this game is so anticipated and so exciting is because Army and Navy have both had phenomenal seasons, like unbelievable seasons. Both teams playing in the American Athletic Conference, they have combined for 19 wins. Those 19 wins are the most combined wins these programs have had ever when they have met each other. The most combined wins they've ever had when they've played each other in this rivalry game. Navy coming in at 8-3. Army, the 22nd ranked team in the country, 11-1, winning the American Championship over Tulane. We've got their pennant up there too, defeating Tulane in the American Athletic Conference Championship game in their first year in the conference. An unbelievable year for the Black Knights. Again, 11-1. Not good enough to get to that college football playoff spot. Boise State, of course, taking that, but still a very historic year for Army football. And, you know, last thing before we dive into the analysis here, you look at this. Great years for both teams, both going to solid bowl games. Can't wait to see them play in their bowl games. Can't wait to predict those bowl games here in the next few days. But bottom line is, Bryson Daly, the quarterback for Army, said it best. You know, we are pumped that we won the American Championship. We're pumped that we win 11-1 and we're making history. But you know what? Some of those things don't really matter unless you beat Navy. So these two teams have played in lots of big games this year. Army played the conference championship this year. But for these two teams, this is their Super Bowl. This is their championship. Winning the Army-Navy game will be the highlight of the year, no matter what, for whatever program wins this game. So it's always, always, always a big deal. You could be undefeated. You could be winless. This game is the one that matters the most. So let's jump into it. We'll start on offense, and we'll start with Navy. Look, the Midshipmen started 6-0, but they struggled down the stretch. Went 2-3 down the stretch, scoring just 24 points total in their three losses. So they've got to find a way to get some points on the scoreboard against a very stingy Army defense. They average over 247 rushing yards per game. We know that. Their quarterback, Blake Horvath, has played very, very well. 895 rushing yards on the year. Alex Texa right behind him with 489 rushing yards. Overall, Navy has 6 players that have rushed for at least 100 yards on the season. Horvath, of course, did not play in their season finale with an injury. Hopefully we'll be back in time for this game. Braxton Woodson got the start against ECU and played very well. 165 passing yards, 125 rushing yards. But the key for Navy is turnovers. They've got to find a way to take care of the football. That's been the kind of their Achilles heel over the last half of the season. And their 3 losses this year, and the 3 losses that Navy has suffered this year, they had 10 total turnovers. Yes, 6 of those, of course, came in the loss to Notre Dame. Ironically, Navy getting blown out by Notre Dame. Army's only loss also coming to Notre Dame. 6 turnovers in that game against the Fighting Irish, but keep in mind, 10 turnovers in 3 games, and their 3 losses. They only had 4 total turnovers in their 8 wins. So that just comes to show you how important the turnover battle is for the midshipmen. Overall, Navy committed 12 turnovers in their final 5 games after committing just 2 in their first 6. So again, this back half of the season, they've been unable to hold on to the ball. They've gone 2-3 down the stretch. Not an ideal finish for the midshipmen. They've got to find a way to hold on if they want to beat Army in this game, because Army is about as efficient as they come, and we know this. Bryson Daly is unbelievable. If Bryson Daly had put up the numbers that he put up this year at a power program, he would be a Heisman finalist right now, as a quarterback especially. Over 1,400 rushing yards this year for Daly, 29 touchdowns on the ground, also thrown for over 870 yards, 8 touchdowns, and just 1 interception. He's absolutely ridiculous. He is so much fun to watch. He's a gritty player. He's a hard runner. I mean, he is the commander for this Army offense. 5 players for the Black Knights have rushed for 100 yards, or at least 100 yards on the year. Daly, of course, leading the way, but they've also got another 1,000-yard rusher. Kanye Udo, over 1,000 rushing yards on the year, 10 rushing touchdowns there. But so between Daly and Udo, over 2,000 rushing yards, over 39 touchdowns, absolutely ridiculous stats. I don't care who you are, what team you are, when you've got 2 1,000-yard rushers on your team, that's pretty dang special and pretty dang impressive. All right, no surprise, the Army, with those 2 players, owns the number 1 rushing attack in the country, rushing for over 314 yards per game. But I would say for them entering this game, the key for them is, yeah, sure, you got to hold on to the ball. But time of possession. Time of possession is going to be so massive for Army in this game. Army and Navy obviously run very similar styles of offense. They want to run the ball. They're going to be familiar with each other's game. But if Army can chew up the clock and go on those long, sustained drives that we've seen them do time and time again this year and do it very efficiently and very well, it's going to limit the amount of possessions that Navy has. It's going to force Navy to have to pick up their pace, maybe throw the ball a little bit more, especially if Army is converting and getting in the end zone on those very lengthy drives. Limiting the amount of opportunities that Navy has on the field is going to be the key for the Black Knights in this game. Again, they've done it all year. They take great care of the football. They've only turned the ball over 5 times this season. So Army, if you continue to do what you've been doing, you're going to be just fine. Navy, if you're on defense, you've got to find a way to get them off the field, right? You got to find a way to prevent those long, sustained drives. Can they force 3 and outs? Can Navy force quick 3 and outs and get their offense as many opportunities as they can? Well, let's take a look at the numbers a little bit. You go back and you look at Navy's 3 losses. They're 8-3. They're 3 losses. They had 6 turnovers against Notre Dame. I get that. But against the Fighting Irish, they allowed 265 rushing yards. They allowed 105 rushing yards in their loss to Rice, over 230 passing yards on the day. And then they allowed 220 rushing yards in their blowout loss against Tulane. That's concerning. So Notre Dame ran the ball very well against them. Tulane ran the ball very well against them. Navy is not that great against the run. The midshipmen are allowing over 161 rushing yards per game. That's 86th in the nation against the run. And look, Notre Dame runs the ball well, yes. Tulane runs the ball well, yes. But none of those teams run the ball as well as Army, who has the number 1 rushing offense in the country. So if Notre Dame's putting up those type of numbers, if Tulane's putting up those type of numbers, and both those teams are very good football programs, you can't help but wonder what kind of numbers Army's going to put up on Saturday afternoon. Navy has got to find a way to get stops. They've got to find a way to force turnovers. Again, Army does not turn the ball over. Navy does find ways to create turnovers. They forced 20 on the year. So can they find a way to get off the field quicker? Can they find a way to force Army into mistakes? That's going to be the million-dollar question here. They've struggled against some of their tougher opponents they faced this year. Army, without a doubt, fits that category. Army, defensively, they're good, man. And again, you can point to strength of schedule. Yeah, they haven't played the toughest schedule in the country. Neither has Navy. That's life sometimes in a group of 5 conference. That's life in the American. There weren't too many, giant killers, dare I say, in the American Conference. But look, Army does have a top 10 unit in the country. And I don't care what conference you're in. I don't care what team you are. That's impressive. 10th in the nation in total defense, giving up just 298 yards per game. They are 11th in the country against the run, allowing just 104 rushing yards per game. These 2 teams run practically identical offenses, very, very similar. Army is 11th in stopping the run. Navy is 86th in stopping the run. The Black Knights have forced 19 turnovers this year, and they only allow 15 points per game. You do not score against Army, and if you do score, it takes a lot out of you to get the ball in the end zone. Only, 3 teams 3 teams have scored over 20 points on Army, and one of those was Notre Dame. Only 2 other teams have scored over 20 points. Everybody else held to under 20 points against the Black Knights. And again, they just crushed a good Tulane team, 35-14 in the American Championship game. So this Army team, guys, is about, again, as we said, it's about as efficient as they come. They are dominant on offense. They are ball hawks on defense. They're flying around all over the place. And ultimately, that's why I'm picking the Black Knights to win this game and defeating Navy for the 3rd year in a row. Army has been money all year long. We've bet on them multiple times. They have pretty much always come through. They play fantastic football. They play disciplined football. Both these teams do. Army more so here. I do not see them allowing this game to slip away from them. An 11-1 season, a conference title. All they need now is a win over Navy to really complete it. If you want to go for the trifecta, win your bowl game over Marshall, and I feel confident they'll do that too. But this is the big one, and I just don't see the Black Knights letting it slip away from them. Give me Army, who's been dominant all year long, to dominate once again. I think they beat Navy by at least a touchdown in this game. 3rd straight win in the series, a 12-1 season, and Army could be pushing for 13 wins if, of course, they can win their bowl game. So guys, as always, thank you so much for watching us here at the Gridiron Expert on YouTube. Make sure to continue to like, comment, subscribe, share our videos, and check out everything down in the description below. That includes our website, thegridironexpert.com, home to our expert picks, home to that holiday special, some of the best picks in the country, all the bowl game picks, all the NFL playoff picks. You don't want to miss out on that, guys. A very, very low price. Great marks, hitting over 60% of our postseason bets each of the last 6 years. Go sign up for those today. The link for that down in the description below. And once again, as always, thank you so much for watching. And we'll see you next time right here on The Gridiron Expert.
Yeah.